Hello everybody, good morning and welcome to the United Stands. I'm Mark Goldbridge and this is your latest Manchester United transfer news. Don't forget, it's also match day as well. We do kick off at midnight, so it's a long wait, but definitely excited for that. Don't forget to join us on the watch along live on this channel. Midnight tonight, Man United against West Ham. Excited. We'll probably see Mbeumo for the first time and Cunha for the second time. And hopefully we'll see some progression and positivity around the system because we certainly do need it. You know, we can't just drift from last season into this season. And I suppose that's the perfect way to start in relation to the news this morning. We've got updates on Ollie Watkins. We've got updates on Antony. We've got updates on Emi Martinez. We've got updates on Malacia. We've got updates We've got lots of updates, but we also got an exclusive on Garnacho. So look, Saturday morning's always a good show. We've had a lot of exclusives on a Saturday night show. Remember, it was actually on Thursday we broke about Manchester United's new priority being Ollie Watkins. So where are we 48 hours later? Because we were talking yesterday about the next step really needs to be what we've seen with Isak, what we've seen with Mbeumo, what we've seen with Cunha. This public declaration almost going through a credible journalist that you want to move and you want Manchester United. We haven't had that yet. And is that a positive or a negative? Well, look, our stance early before anybody else was that Man United's now priority in the striker position is Ollie Watkins. Aston Villa's stance is he's not for sale and they want £60 million. Watkins at the moment is very quiet. There's nothing coming from his camp to Ornstein or Oman or anybody else to say that he wants to leave Villa and join Manchester United. That would be helpful, but obviously, you know, we don't know the complexities of this deal. And I must shout out all of you lot. You have said since we signed Mbeumo, if we start negotiating for a striker, we've already set a precedent that we're going to take weeks, that we're not very good at negotiating. So what, you know, Delap was the easiest deal in the world because it was a release clause. You didn't have to negotiate. And I think missing out on Delap, despite Man United's protestations about being adaptable and having other plans, I think the minute we didn't get Delap and that release clause, it became very, very difficult. And I think some of us are looking at this and going, look, Gyökeres was a preference, Ekitike was a preference, Ollie Watkins is the priority now. Doesn't make the deal very easy to do. And it's interesting, I was listening to what Ben Jacobs said last night on Terry's channel actually, and he was saying that Manchester United have made contact with Aston Villa. Aston Villa don't want to lose Watkins now. They certainly won't entertain any kind of significant talks unless they found a replacement or unless someone meets their valuation, which is £60 million, and Manchester United won't meet that valuation. So, as I said to you on Thursday, he is the priority. Whether it gets done or not, it's way too slow. It's too slow. I mean, I look at it and I go, again, I don't put any blame at the door of Omar Barada, Jason Wilcox, Ruben Amorim on this because the tone of pace is set by the owners. But where I do frustrate is that we are about to start the season in 3 weeks' time. Even if we had Ollie Watkins, a goalkeeper and a midfielder now, that's tight to get them integrated and ready. They're not going to be here for the first game of the season. What football club actually sits here and goes, it doesn't matter if you have your best players for the start of the season? Or even worse, it doesn't matter if you don't get the best players in at all. It's a really strange logic, and I'm still waiting for somebody, whether it be an ex-player, one of you, maybe Sir Jim Radcliffe one day, to sit down and explain to us why it is consistently over the last decade we don't get players in on time or we don't get key players in at all. I mean, how many summers have we had in the past where we've been in this situation? Literally last summer, at this point, we didn't have De Ligt, we didn't have Mazraoui, we didn't have Agate. It's happened in previous years, and we've been crap for 10 years. There is a direct correlation between a lot of things that go wrong at the club. The Glazers are responsible. The debt doesn't help. But also our inability to be effective in the transfer window, to be efficient and speedy, has a direct impact. And I would love somebody at Man United to explain to the millions of Man United fans out there worldwide why it is that they continually decide not to bring key players in before the start of the season, and sometimes not to bring them in at all. I mean, how many years have we had where, you know, Jadon Sancho was a target one summer, we didn't get him till the next. So it's just too slow. It's too slow. And I actually look at the Watkins deal and I go, it can still happen. He is the priority. It can still happen. It cannot happen. We'll have to wait and see. But what I do think about the Watkins deal is if it is to happen, we're weeks away. Literally weeks away. We're playing Arsenal, Chelsea and Man City in our first 5 games, and this priority striker that we want won't be in for those games, or will be very, very unprepared if he is. And I just think we've got a good manager, we've got some good players, we've got a fantastic football club, and somewhere in there, we're just completely missing the open goal that you need to get these players in. We're a football club, not a bloody business. And I know we get treated like a business, but we're a football club first and foremost. When the season starts, when the first whistle blows, you need to be prepared. And we're not prepared. We're not prepared. So, look, with Watkins, we await significant updates. Sometimes you can get significant updates on a tour. Sometimes you can get a significant update on a weekend. Arsenal have had it with Gyökeres for the last 3 Sundays. But I don't know where Villa are on tour, if someone can answer me that. I don't know whether Watkins is going to say something. And if I was Watkins, I wouldn't say a bloody word at the moment, because you don't want to damage your reputation in the Villa fan base and then not leave. But look, we're operating way too slow. And I think that whilst I don't agree that it's going to be a terrible season, and it's not beyond the realms of possibility that this current squad could scrape 5th, you're rolling a dice and trying to throw a 6. And 5 times out of that, you won't throw a 6. You might throw a 5-4-3-2-1. So I just think it's a ridiculous way to approach football in 2025, to basically be rolling a dice and hoping for a 6. Liverpool won the league. They're going to spend about £500 million. They could easily just go from a financial... And I think this is a great lesson. Liverpool won the league. They could easily go, we're a business, let's spend no money because we think we've got a squad capable of winning the league next year. So explain to me how a team that wins the Premier League comfortably then goes and spends £500 million. Like, if that was a business, you'd go, we've already won the league. Why do we need to spend £500 million? Maybe spend 200 million. But they're not. Because they know what football is. Football is about competing. It's about winning. You earn more money from success than you do from failure. United are sat there going, and that's the lesson for me. Like, if you can win the league and then go and spend £500 million, or you can finish 4th and then go and spend 300 million, or you can finish 2nd and then you can go and spend 300 million, why are we in 15th? Going, let's be a business and let's be cheap and let's not be prepared. It's just so logically bad what we're doing. And we're operating too slow. We can still do business in the window, but we're operating too slow. And I do wonder how much of it is actually linked to the fact that the Glazers and Ineos don't want to put money in, whereas Todd Boehly does. And if we can't get money into the club, how can you spend money? And the only way we can get money into the club is by sales, and we've sold nobody. Yes, we'll save 15 million on Rashford's wages, but you don't get that 15 million now. That's every week he's not here, you're saving 300 grand a week. So, yeah. Amorim plans to play Bruno in a 10. Why 2 10s then, says Trendy? Well, that's not what he said, is it? That's not what he said. He basically said he can play in different positions. I think we'll see Bruno predominantly playing as an 8. And then later on in games, we might see him moving to the 10 and, maybe Mainoo or someone like that come on. Adaptability, the ability to play in different positions. Actually, just on Amorim very, very quickly, a lot of people last night were trying to do the whole sort of cause an argument in the fan base, really. Trying to say that when Amorim said we're going to suffer, that he was taken out of context. He wasn't taken out of context. The exact words were, we're going to suffer, we've got problems. And it was in the middle of a sentence where he was talking about people who want to be at the football club. He factually said, we're going to suffer, we've got problems. The whole point of it was no one asked him what he meant by that. So we don't know what the context is. That was the whole point. I said it in the press conference. It's not about fishing for negativity or fishing for positivity. He said, we're going to suffer. We've got problems in the middle of a sentence about something else. You can't say it was taken out of context because no one knows what the bloody context was. That was my whole frustration last night. Why did we all hear it and go, what does he mean by that? But not one journalist out of 30 people went, can I just ask you, what did you mean about that? So that's the whole point. We don't know what, people are saying he's been taken out of context. He's not been taken out of context. We don't know the bloody context because no one in the room actually put their hand up and went, what do you mean by that? I don't know what he means by that, because he was talking about, a good group of players that want to be here. We're going to suffer. We've got problems. It was in the middle of a sentence. I don't know what he meant by that. Did he mean we're just naturally going to lose games? But what are the problems behind that? Did he mean we're going to be in mid-table because we haven't got a good enough squad? Did he mean that we're going to get injuries? And, I don't know what he meant. I don't know what he meant. The whole point was we couldn't get context. So how can you say it was out of context when we don't know what the context is? Let me talk to you about Garnacho. So this is a bit of exclusive news around Garnacho. If you remember correctly, we've always had quite good info around Garnacho, to be honest, but not team news. I'm not going down that road. So the morning after the Europa League final, 4 hours before Romano even tweeted it on the morning show, I said 100% he's leaving Man United. And that wasn't coming from Man United. That was the player who'd made that decision. And lo and behold, it's happened. Why is he still at Manchester United? Why is Ruben Amorim still talking about if they don't get a move for the price we want, we'll bring them back? Well, it's posturing. And fair play to Rashford and his team. They've got that move to Barcelona and it's a loan move. If I was Garnacho or Antony or anyone else like that, I would say, hold on a minute. Like, you're publicly saying you're not going to take cheap offers for us, which we think are fair offers. You're overvaluing us. And you're going to make us come back in September. You've let Marcus Rashford go in the middle of July on loan to Barcelona. Is that not a bit hypocritical? You haven't sold Rashford for 40 million. He's gone on loan to Barcelona. You're not getting any money for it. There's no obligation to buy. They're just covering his wages. So you've let him go in the middle of July, and everybody would agree that's not the best deal you could have done at all. If anything, it's a great deal for Rashford and Barcelona. And we understood why you did it, because you can't get anything else. We've got offers for 40, 45 million for Garnacho. We've got offers for, loan deals for Antony, and you're going, no, no, no. So why is he being treated like that? So I think it's just posturing. It's poker, says John. It is just posturing. And I think we will find solutions. I've got no doubt that we will not be seeing Antony, Sancho, Malacia and Rashford, and Garnacho, not Rashford, in September in a Man United shirt. On Garnacho, one of the big things delaying Garnacho is his preference of football club. And it explains a lot. He wants Chelsea. He wants the best offer in the room. And when I say offer, there is interest from Chelsea. There is interest from Napoli. There is interest from Villa. There's meant to be interest from Spurs. There's interest from Leverkusen. There's interest from Atletico Madrid. He wants Chelsea. Chelsea is the most glamorous and best offer there if he can go. They're in the Champions League. They've won the Club World Cup. They've got loads of money. They're a well-supported club. Garnacho at Chelsea is going to have more social media appeal. He's going to have more awareness. He's going to have a better chance of getting in the Argentinian squad because it's the most high-profile club that's interested in him. And when I say social media profile, I don't mean that's what he's after. What I'm saying is the publicity of being at Chelsea is far bigger than it is being at Spurs or Villa or Napoli. So what I don't know and what nobody knows is if he is waiting for Chelsea because they've told him to wait while they get rid of some players and he is the player they want, or whether he's just waiting to see if Chelsea will make a move on him. But Chelsea is the club that he wants to go to. And that fits in with what we know about Garnacho. He's very forward publicly, he's very confident publicly, and, he admires Ronaldo, he admires Messi, he wants to be that type of a player. And people might be laughing about that, but there's nothing wrong with that. So he wants to he's at Manchester United, and whether Man United are shit or not, playing for Manchester United with the reputation he's got brings a lot. When we were in Asia for the post-season tour. He was the most popular player there in a mood. So he wants Chelsea because Chelsea's the best club interested in him. What happens there? I don't know. Do Chelsea want him? Are they looking at somebody else? Have they got to sell to buy? Will Chelsea give us 45 million? Will they give us 60 million? I don't know. But again, I would say the same as what I said about Watkins. It's too slow, isn't it? It's incredible that it's the 26th of July and you've got players that really should be in pre-season. You know, they've missed 3 weeks of pre-season. 3 weeks of pre-season. 21 minus, off 26 is 5. So, it's 3 weeks basically since United have been back in pre-season. He's missed 3 weeks of pre-season. He's nowhere near being close to pre-season with anybody. The season starts in 3 weeks, and we've got players who are just doing nothing, and I find that really, really quite strange and sad in the modern football world that players are such. Their mentality of players now is that they will, I'll be running off the beach to get into pre-season and get ready for the start of a season. But it's all tactical, isn't it now? It's all money, brand, sit tight, game of poker. So, look, we'll have to wait and see. I don't know. I'm not here to give Garnacho career advice or Chelsea career advice, but I actually don't think it's a great fit. I don't really see where you'd get into the team. They've got Cole Palmer, they've got Esteban, they've got Gittins, they've got Pedro's just gone there, they've got Neto. You don't just walk into that team. And as Savage says, he can kiss his World Cup goodbye. But, you've got to back yourself, haven't you? I think he's a good player, but if I was him, I'd be looking at the best option I can get where I'm going to play every week. That to me would probably be Villa. Maybe Napoli. That's where I'd be going, but, that's where we are. Patrick Lynch, what about Antony and Saudi? I will give you the latest on that in a moment because it's been misinterpreted. Patrick Lynch says, being ready for the start of the season is vital for Amorim and United season. We saw last season how important every point is. Surrendering at the start of the season could cost us European football, says Patrick. Look, I think, look, we've got some really winnable games. I know we didn't beat Leeds, so we have to put up a warning sign, but we've got some really winnable games. I mean, West Ham aren't very good. Everton, look, they do okay under Moyes, but they're not very good. Bournemouth is a test, but they've lost a lot of players as well. So, and Fiorentina, they're not one of the best Italian sides. So we've got a really good run of fixtures, the fitter we get, to build some momentum into that Arsenal game and hopefully catch them cold at Old Trafford and under, not under the lights, but with 75,000 people, and we can get maybe a false start, but a good start. The fear is you get turned over by Arsenal, you go to Fulham and only get a point. You beat Burnley, you got 4 points from 9, then you lose to Man City and Chelsea, you got 4 points from 15, and then you're in big, big trouble. That's sort of the fear. Because Chelsea, Man City and Arsenal are all better than us. But then you go, well, look, many times, there's been teams that have a really good start. They come out the traps really, really quickly. Maybe you defy logic. Maybe you beat Arsenal. Maybe you get a point at Fulham. Maybe you beat Burnley. You got 7 from 9. You play Man City. You get another point. You've got 8 from 9. And then you beat Chelsea. And you've got 11 from 15. So, look, there's no point speculating at the moment. As I've said, and as many of you have said, are we prepared for the start of this season? No. Are we ready for the start of the season? No. Has Amorim been back to the level he should have been? No. That creates an area of uncertainty on how this season is going to start. But what I would say with regards to what Patrick said is, and I've just lost what Patrick said, which is typical. Hold on. European football is really important for Manchester United, and we want to get a good start. And what worries me about what Patrick says there in a good start or a bad start is we know, look at Liverpool when it was 7-0. How did that go from 3-0 to 7-0? That should have been mentality. We've lost this game, but we're not going to get hammered. Look at the Spurs game in the Europa League final, our last competitive game, really. Well, no, we played Villa after that. But look at that game. Spurs scored really early and we had no response. I don't think, mentality-wise, this Man United dressing room reacts well to bad starts. So if we get a bad start in this Premier League season, the rot could set in. And that's not just under Amorim, although we have seen it under Amorim. It's been going on for years. And again, I would question the board again and say, why have you not done your research? Like, we don't react to bad starts in games, bad starts in seasons very well. And you've not set us up for the start of the season. So you're almost inviting the chance of a bad start to the season because you haven't done what needed to be done. And we know that we don't react well to bad starts. So that would be the concern. As Patrick says, we really need a good start. But 3 of our first 5 games we're playing teams that have had an amazing summer. Like, they're very well prepared. Pep's going about his business, Maresca, Arteta, they've got new signings, they've got good teams. Amorim, who's starting from behind already, hasn't had that. So it surprises me that wasn't like pinned to the wall in every key office at Carrington, Old Trafford and London. We need to be ready for the start of the season because we don't react well to bad starts. Let me just catch up on what people are saying. Tanish, welcome to the Members Club. Thank you very much for getting your badge in. Really appreciate your support, as always, and everybody else who has the badge, like Garfield and Keel, I can see in the live chat. And Columbus as well, who says sup. More halfway there for supper, maybe, or just saying hello in a cool way. Morning, Mark. Trying to reach you and your team about some insight on financials of deals over years and potential on-stream ad. Which email is best, says Dean. I think we've seen it, Dean, already. I think it's been passed on. So, yeah, you'll either get an email or you won't. Thank you, Dean. I'm pretty sure we saw that. We need better organisation at managing transfer windows. Been saying it for years, Mike JW. I don't understand why it takes so long. It's an utter joke. Thank you, Mike. I mean, look, we've sort of touched on it, and I want to talk about a couple of other bits as well. But I think, look, I have just touched on it there, haven't I? Traditionally, we're never ready for the start of the season. Traditionally, when we have a bad start, we don't respond very well. The question is, and you don't get the answer, is why are we doing things so similarly to what we've done for the last 10 years under the Glazers when Sir Jim's running the football side? We haven't really seen enough. Martial says, is there a watch-along? Does a bear take a shit in the woods? Of course there's a bloody watch-along. We've been doing pre-season watch-alongs for years. I can't wait. Looking forward to it. Midnight on a Saturday night with you good people. I mean, this is what I love about pre-season. We don't, look, some of you great people do it every bloody week that the season's on. You're getting up at 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock. I bow to thee. Absolutely brilliant support. And it doesn't go unnoticed on this channel, even though not many people seem to shout about it elsewhere, including the club. But I look forward to it tonight. I like the pre-season, and I like the ability to be able to just be up at 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock watching Man United play in a community. It reminds me of the Super Bowl stream we do. Hi, Mark. I know we need experience up front, says Karen, but whatever options we are exploring aren't great. Why don't we look at somebody from Latin America, somebody in the mould of Hernandez? Karen, I like that statement, but when somebody says, why don't we go and do this, somebody like that, is there anybody like that? That's the problem. Is there anybody like that? I mean, look, I'm going to say this right now. Nottingham Forest bought that striker, Jesus, from, what was it? I always get, there's so many Brazilian teams and they're so good. It wasn't Palmeiras. I think he was at Botafogo or Fluminense. One of the two. I think he's going to be really good. That's my hot tip of the season. I think if he's given game time, he will do really, really well. And he was so cheap. But I don't know why we don't look at those types of players. It's almost like there's an arrogance, we couldn't spend £20 million on a striker from Brazil. And then someone like Forest or Brighton do it, and then they sell them for 80 million to us. And you go, why did we bypass the cheaper option? It's almost like we don't want to do deals like Brighton or Forest or, Leicester before them used to do. But we were happy to pay the inflated price when they're proven. And we finished 15th. Maybe we should be looking at those signings more because, look, Mbeumo and Cunha are really good signings, but £127 million has gone on those 2 players. We needed 6 players. It's very hard to sign 6 players when you've spent 130 on 2. So we should, I agree with you, be looking at markets that where player prices aren't, that expensive. But we've never really done it, have we? And I think we have got scouts that put those players through. I just think we've got a leadership team that doesn't take those options. I mean, Caicedo could have been a Man United player years ago, and we didn't do it. Keel Robinson says, for the record, this is now Amorim's team. We could have sold players like Bruno and Dalot to fund new buys, so no more excuses. Keel, that's more of a stretch than Stretch Armstrong. You can't say that that's Amorim's team because he didn't sell players. He could have sold Bruno. That's one player. Where's the offer for Dalot? The only club I know that was interested in Dalot was about 18 months ago, and it was Real Madrid. They've just got Trent on a free. So I don't think it's Amorim's team in any way, shape or form, to be honest with you. Henry says, what is your take on Man United going for Watkins? Are you okay with it? Big up to you in the community. I am very okay with it, Henry. I'm not convinced yet that we will get him because it feels like United, yet again, have prioritised a player and then not actually... Well, I don't think we've got the full story at the moment. I think there needs to be more development. But it's going to take a while, I think. Amorim plans, done that one from Trendy. I haven't been around for a week, but did you see the Neville Jim interview? What are your thoughts on it, says Killen? Well, I haven't seen a Gary Neville Sir Jim interview in months. So, have we got one? No, it was in March, mate. Okay, we'll move on from that one. Thank you very much, Killen. Morning all, says Rob. Morning, Rob. Hope you're doing well. I'm going to watch Watkins today in Louisville. I'm not sure if he should be the main target, but we are desperate, says Joseph. So Villa are obviously in the States as well. Seems like the players are buying time in case Amorim fails, says Keel. Don't want Garnacho. Good player, though, says Rob. Sorry, I'm just catching up here. Nicholas says, it's slow because no one has quality wants to sign for us. We got to look elsewhere like lower leagues here and around the football world. Jokereza was at Coventry when Sporting got him, says Nicholas. What if we send Garnacho to Tottenham, says Liam. He's got to want to go there and they've got to want him, haven't they, I suppose. No way should we be selling Garnacho to Chelsea for 45. We always pay too much and sell too low. 60 million, says Danny. Minimum. Look. If you can get me £60 million for Garnacho, Danny, you can be our director of football. But I don't think he's worth that. I think the market dictates the price. And unfortunately, I don't know how Man United could justify £60 million for a player that they've publicly fallen out with. But, if they get it, great. I don't see United improving much as we still finish below 10th if we don't bring in real midfielders. I give him till October the 18th. He'll be gone after that. Scary that people are predicting dates when Amorim's going to get the sack, says Tusha. I'd give him the whole season even if it goes bad. I genuinely have said this a few times and I genuinely agree with this. What is the point in sacking a manager in season? It's never worked out. It's never worked out for us. Just get through the season. We've made this choice. Get through the season. Make your change at the end of the season because it just makes things worse. Call it wishful thinking, but sometimes too much of a good thing can be bad. Teams which have too many star signings might not work, says Yuva. Yeah, but we're hoping for a lot of teams to fall away then, aren't they? Because there's a lot of teams that have done a lot of signings. You're a blessing. Our channel, The United Kitchen, is almost at 100 subs because of you. It's small, but we're grateful. Thank you so much, says The United Kitchen. Thank you, pal. I'm just going to whack it in because I must have... That's what she said. I haven't had chance to look at it yet. But if I put it on another browser... there we go. You've only got one bit of content and it's thank you to Rashford. Not good controversial start. Well done. Okay, I'll never stop supporting this club my granddad introduced me to as a kid, but sadly we have to accept that United is now officially a mid-table club, says Christian. And Sean says, by all means, I'm not happy about the amount of incomings, but I'm positive about seeing but sadly, that moved. By all means, I'm not happy about the amount of incoming, says Sean, but I'm positive about seeing Ahmad fixed on right wing-back and the creativity from our cams. Midfield is my main concern, need out and out CDM. Look, Sean, great comment. I need to talk about Antony and a couple of other bits as well, but let me just say this. Why do we think Ahmad's playing right wing-back? It's like, where's Mainu going to play? Why do we think why do we think Ahmad's playing right wing back? Look, logically you assume he is. It could be Mbeumo at right wing back. I personally think it's going to be Delo. I think we're going to continue with the back five. I don't think he's going to go wingers on the wide. First 2 games of the season, Arsenal and Fulham. One of them's away. I don't think he's going to put Ahmad at right wing back against Arsenal. I don't think he's going to go toe to toe against Arsenal at Old Trafford on the opening game. I think he'll go Dorgu and Delo. So, look, I think it'll cause mayhem in the fan base if we bench Ahmad or Mbeumo against Arsenal. Maybe he'll put Cunha up front and play Mbeumo and Ahmad behind. But I don't think he's going to play Ahmad at right wing back that often. I don't think we'll go to the Etihad or Anfield or the Emirates or Spurs or St James's Park and put Ahmad at right wing back. I think we will see it on occasion, but I don't think we will see it as often as people think. I might be wrong on that, but it's not nailed on is what I'm trying to say. I don't think we're considering the huge shift in the locker room culture that's taken place the last few months when we say nothing changed in our squad, says Notorious. No, I think we are considering it. I think we said it last night. The tactic for this season seems to be an over-reliance on a glow-up from the team of last year. What we're doing is Cunha and Mbeumo are really good signings, but effectively it's not enough. So what we're hoping for is that 9 or 10 players from last year that underperformed suddenly start performing because they've had a pre-season and we've removed some toxic elements from the dressing room. You make your own mind up on that. Do you think a pre-season and a better dressing room culture is going to take 10 players from last year that underperformed and make them perform this year? And do you think the leap's going to be big enough from 15th to 5th? That's what I'm seeing at the moment. It's like a rebrand. Isn't it? It's like McDonald's when they change their branding. It's still McDonald's. Will it be better? Will it be worse? Will it be a slight improvement? Will it be a huge improvement? Will it be the same? I agree with you. I think, there are changes. I mean, if you look at Carrington, it looks amazing now, like the restaurant and, canteen, etc. does look really good and modern, but is that going to be enough? Mikhail says, is the Sesko deal ruled out? Great show. You know what? What people don't realise about the transfer window is nothing is set in stone. Like, Watkins is the priority at the moment. Delap was the priority in April. Gyökeres was probably the priority in June. Ekitike was the priority, for a week or so. Sesko's never been the priority. Would United silently be going behind Newcastle's back and having a chat with Sesko and Leipzig? We do have Vival. He has RB connections. Do I think a shock Sesko pivot over the next couple of days from Man United is impossible? No, I don't. I literally don't. It would not surprise me. But it also wouldn't surprise me if we do sod all and watch him sign for Newcastle. So I wouldn't rule it out. I don't know anything about it. I haven't heard anything about it. In fact, all we've heard this week is that Sesko's too expensive. It was in the Athletic, wasn't it? United won't pay this, that and the other. But you know what? They might look at the situation and go, this guy clearly has high pedigree, could be amazing. What's the price Newcastle are paying? Find out what the price is. If it's doable, whack an offer in. But you can justify spending £60 million on Sesko because of his age and potential. You can't justify spending £60 million on Watkins when he's going to be 30 at Christmas. Opposition will exploit Ahmad if he's a wing-back, says Robert. I feel, Robert, there's a big conversation there. Maybe we can talk about it on the watch-along. In fact, I will write that down for the first half an hour before the game kicks off. There is a weakness that comes to my mind, and probably yours, Robert, straight away, and it's a weakness with Delo, so it would be a weakness with Ahmad, who is smaller. We're crap at defending the back post, and teams already exploit it, whether it's Dorgu, Luke Shaw, Amas, whether it's Wan-Bissaka, Delo. It's been going on for years. Teams ping it up to the back post, and we're always exploited there, even when we've got a back five. Ahmad, on that back post, if we don't learn how to defend it, would be an area of weakness, yeah. Mojo's just gifted 5 memberships. Absolute legend. Hope you're doing well. Rory Jennings says Amorim will be the first manager sacked. I like Rory, but you've made a big mistake by actually putting any substance on what Rory Jennings is saying. In fact, substance and Rory Jennings probably goes hand in hand with some of the takes he takes. He said that Haaland would be a flop. Mate, yeah, no wonder he's on talk shit. Yeah, at the end of the day, Gary Neville could say Amorim's going to be the first manager sacked. It could happen, but come on. It's done for effect, isn't it? And it works. You've done a super chat about it. But why are we talking about first manager sacked? It's irrelevant. We've not even started the season yet. Look, if you want to know who I think the first manager is going to be sacked, any of the bottom 3. Andrews at Brentford. The first manager to be sacked will probably be somebody nobody predicts, because trust me, the Premier League is so. It could be Emery. Villa could lose 4 of the first 5. It could be Eddie Howe. Like, you can't really predict who's getting sacked before a ball's been kicked, because expectations of everybody at the start of the season are high, and when the reality kicks in, chairman panic. I would say that Amorim is probably safer than most, because expectation at Man United is pretty low. If we're mid-table in November, why would Amorim get sacked? You know, unless Ineos do something really stupid. Why would Amorim be sacked if we're in mid-table? That's exactly where many of you think we're going to be. So you can't sack a guy who has no expectations, if you know what I mean. I don't know what Man United's expectations are. At the moment, I would say we're going to be somewhere between 5th and 10th. So if we're mid-table, why would you sack him? Tusha says, I saw a United content creator comparing Gyökeres with Weghorst today. Could not believe my senses. You know what that is? It's just stupidity and desperation and, you know, trying to build a rivalry when we haven't got one. I don't watch football like that. I would love Gyökeres at Manchester United. He's not Weghorst. He's a fantastic player. And if he'd signed for us, we'd be going mad about it. But it's just childish, immature playground tactics, isn't it, to try and wind up Arsenal fans. Gyökeres is fantastic. We just weren't in a position to bring him to the club for whatever reason. I'd have took Ekitike. You know, I would take Ollie Watkins. Morning, Mark. Hope you're well. What do you think the score tonight will be? Says Leon. Look, you know, it is pre-season. I'm going to whack a preview up a little bit later, but I think that we will probably see 2 teams quite strong. So we've got people like Maguire, Yoro, Heaven, De Ligt, Mazraoui, Luke Shaw. We've got an ability to play 2 different centre-back trios. We've got a lot of number 10s. We've got a lot of midfielders. So I think he will pick 2 teams. I don't think he's going to pick a team where he can go, that's his best team. I don't think West Ham have the capability of picking 2 teams. So at some point, I would expect us to overpower them. We should have done that to Leeds. So at some point, I want to see this system and, you know, good atmosphere in training. We've got a much better squad than West Ham. So, all right, if they put a strong team out in the first half, it might be close. But in the second half, when they're using their bench, we've got a lot. This is what I mean. When you look at our 25 players that we've got, they're better than West Ham, Everton, Bournemouth, Fiorentina. So we should be overpowering these teams. I don't really care about winning. we should be winning, but what I want to see is some good football. I mean, the system has to work at some point, doesn't it? Are you going to talk about Antony? I am going to talk about Antony. So there was a quote that came out last night. I mean, look, you never know with these quotes. Sometimes you'll finish the stream and some will say it was a fake quote. But there was a quote that came out last night from Antony's agent. Now, we know from the United stand, we've had contacts with Antony agent in the past. He's very happy to talk to the media, and I think that's a positive thing sometimes. I think they're too secretive. So I don't for 1 minute think that this quote isn't accurate. But people are saying that Antony and Saudi, and Sky were talking about it yesterday or the other day, and I was laughing about it, because Antony doesn't want to go to Saudi. What his agent actually says is, what I can say is that the player is on the market and there are several clubs that want to know his situation. We listen to the projects and analyse them. But he is open to moving to Saudi if there is a possibility that the player will continue with Manchester. Everything is possible, and we are looking for what is best for him. So Antony wants to sign for Saudi is very different to what that quote is. People start thinking we're going to get 50, 60 million pounds out of Saudi. But the way that agent quote reads is, we're open to going to Saudi if there is a possibility the player will continue with Manchester United. So that, to me, sounds like he's open to going to Saudi on loan as long as he stays at Man United. He's open to going to Betis as long as he stays to Manchester United. I don't know how many years Antony's got left on his contract, but it looks to me like the big issue here is Antony wants a loan again. That's what it looks like. I'm with Wayne. If he goes to Saudi, how does he get back in the Brazil team? Now, look, some players in Saudi do get in their national team, Ronaldo being the most famous, but Antony did a lot of good for his career at Betis and got himself back on the Brazil radar. You go to Saudi, you're jeopardising that. So when I heard his agent talk, I basically felt that that was just a bit of PR. We're open to any project. We'll talk to anybody. Which is just being a good agent. I don't think he's, in no way, shape or form did he say, we want to go to Saudi. He actually said, we're open to Saudi if he can stay at Man United, which is a loan, isn't it? So, also, if I was his agent, I would say we're open to Saudi, because it just opens up like possibilities and gets people thinking, oh, he might go to Saudi. Isak gets linked to Saudi. Gyökeres got linked to Saudi. Ekitike got linked to Saudi. It just sharpens the mind of the European teams that we can't dither, you know? So, look, I don't know what's going to happen with Antony. It feels like they want a loan and United don't want a loan. But Malacia has been linked with a move to Saudi, which, you know, I think that would be a positive, because I don't think... the way things, I mean, the lack of interest in Malacia, you'd be wondering if he's going to be pushing trolleys at Tesco at this rate, because he doesn't seem to have any offers. So I think that Malacia being linked to anything is good from a Manchester United point of view. But look, my observations are that any player going to Saudi is running the risk of, you know, jeopardising credibility for your national team. And unless you are a Cristiano Ronaldo or a Vinicius Junior or, you know, a really high profile player, I think you are jeopardising, you know, getting in your national team. And Antony's barely in the national team and he's considering that. I don't think he will. I think Antony wants to go and play for Betis on loan. And I think Betis want Antony on loan. I think Man United want a permanent deal. And again, we're sort of playing hardball in a market where we haven't got a hardball. In an interview, Amorim said there wouldn't be two teams, but there will be subs. We need to start trying to find the best 11 as quick as possible. I haven't seen this interview, Glenn, but we can revisit this tonight. I guarantee you we won't pick his best team. And I guarantee you he'll change most of the team at half-time. I haven't seen that interview. I haven't heard about that interview. But that reads to me like he's going to pick his best team and then start making subs. He will change his whole 11 at half-time, I would imagine. I don't think we're at the point yet where you pick your best team and start changing it at 60 minutes. I think we'll see two teams today and a total change at half-time. it feels like it's too early in pre-season to be picking your strongest team and making subs. But look, Glenn, I would like to see him pick his strongest team and just make subs, but the longer the best players are on the pitch learning the system in a competitive environment, that's what pre-season's all about. You get people saying it's only pre-season. I used to play pre-season. I'm sure many of you did. We've watched pre-season at United for years. It actually does have a purpose. Like it's meant to be, they do pre-season in NFL, don't they? Like NFL's a very impact sport. You do it so that you don't start the season completely shit and not, in the rhythm. That's why we do it. But look, if that's going to happen, I'll be very happy with that. Of course I would. Okay, thank you everybody for tuning in this morning. I will be this afternoon at 2 o'clock going down the slide. It is raining at the moment. It is a health and safety thing, but I don't care because it's my slide. So if you know, that will be happening. We are going to be doing the watch along at midnight tonight. I'm very excited about that. Make sure you smash a like and subscribe to the channel because we're so close to 125,000. We're about 50 subscribers away. Thank you to all the live viewers again this morning. Nearly 15k on a Saturday morning. You are absolute legends. Really excited about the watch along later and the slide. Slide away. Yeah. But I will have a preview going up for you later as well. So keep your eyes peeled. Beth's out in the States. She's just put up what she was doing yesterday, little tour vlog. Make sure you're following the United Stand on Instagram, United Stand TV. Lots of little stories going up there while we're on the States. United Stand TV there. Obviously, we're on X, TikTok. So loads of different clips going up all over the place. Check it out. I will speak to you all later. Thank you very much for watching. Have a great day.